And welcome into episode 65 of the Avetts and Beyond. My name is Todd Emanuele. Welcome into the show. A very special guest joining me today. If you're watching on the YouTube version, we have like this really fancy setup now. Thanks to my guest, Ryan Boyles is back again. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on again.
Hey, Todd. Thank you for having me.
And this is great. We got lots of topics and stuff to talk about. The new album, with the live show, the new tour that they've got going with a bunch of new songs, the puppets, of course. You wanted to talk about the music videos and some new merch that's out there. We've got lots of topics and plenty of time to talk about it. So we've both seen the new tour live. Do you want to start with that, or do you want to start with the album? Because we can just talk all night about all this stuff.
I know, right? Let's talk about the album. I think that's picking up from like all of our when you and I spoke last. We were highly anticipating the new vinyl, so I think it's cool to jump into that.
I love it. I love just the way that it looks, the way it feels,
the
texture. Yes. On the you got the
I've got the sleeve here, so
I've got the insert, the book.
Really cool. I mean, the art is mind blowing.
It's great.
Everybody that's seen it like can't get enough of it. It's got. I didn't know this, and but it's got the symbol, the embossed symbol that we were talking about on the last show. What the meaning of it was. It's like embossed on the album, really nice. And then I just realized this, like after the concerts, after I had come home this week, the symbol, the circle symbol, is actually embossed on the back too.
It is.
It's pretty.
You haven't had a chance to play with that very much, have you?
No, I haven't. I honestly didn't. I got it like the day before I went out on the road with my wife and to the first couple of shows.
So you didn't really get a chance to touch it at all. One thing that's cool too, that's on the actual vinyl, if you look at the center, where there's no music in the middle there, it's etched around the circle. It says sink and rise, sink and rise, sink and rise, all the way. It's like around the whole thing, like in that circular pattern. I thought that was pretty cool. And I have the yellow one that's from Amazon.
Yeah.
Unless you know it's there, you can't see it.
No, right. I got the gold from the Guild.
Okay.
And so we have listened to a couple of songs, but like I said, we haven't spent time, except for actually because we went on this road trip.
You went on like a
and we were going from North Carolina up north to a couple of shows and then to Canada and back down again. So we're actually really fresh because we probably listened to it as many times as you now. We're caught up because we listened to it so many times over and over again in the car.
How many times do you think you've listened to it? Like each song?
I'd say maybe 25, 25-ish probably is a good number. I mean, it's 9 songs, so
it goes
it's amazing how many times you can get through it even. And honestly, some of them are really like becoming earworms for me and my wife, but different songs, which I think is interesting to talk about.
It's amazing. Like I think I've listened to my vinyl every single day, but I've listened to the album driving to and from work probably 3 times a day. I've listened to the album since the day it came out. So yeah. Like I've listened to it so many times, got most of the songs live at the show I went to last week. And I love this album. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Well, it's really quite, people are complaining that it's, a bunch of quiet songs, sad songs, whatever, but there are, a couple bouncy songs in there, obviously Love of a Girl, but sad songs make me happy. I say that all the time. I absolutely love this album.
Here's the interesting part to that. I think we were all a little skewed with the way that they released a few songs to the fans in the music videos, which we're going to talk about later, but they released those boppy songs first, I guess, if you want to call them that. And then Orion's Belt, a lot of us that that have been fans of the band for a while, we've seen it on the road a few times, and they decided to upgrade the recording and make it a track on the record. So I feel like we were like looking for the new stuff, and then the new stuff is, like you said, so it's I don't even want to call it different. I feel like it's an evolution.
It's deep personal lyrics.
Yes, totally.
It's like I feel like we're spying on their journals. The way those songs, the lyrics mean so much to them. It's so personal.
Yes.
It's hard for me to make them about, like, you know, you take a song and you make it about something in your life. All I can think about is, like, in Cheap Coffee, Scott singing about missing his first child's first steps, and, you know, the small apartment that they lived in, and all. It's so incredibly personal. And you know which songs Scott is singing to his wife, and you know which song Seth is singing to his wife, and it's just beautiful. I love it.
It really is. And I think there was a review that I can't remember, so I won't name it, but I thought it was really interesting. I think the headline was like, "Are the happy Avetts as cool as the sad Avetts?" And I feel like
Stone.
I feel like that speaks to the tone, and that was like a light bulb moment to me, because there is still like the reflection that they normally would have in a lot of their lyrics, where they're, you know, they're known for writing the diary in their lyrics, and honestly, that's what we've grown to appreciate so much, like you said. So we really have songs in here that are becoming favorites that we can't get enough of. So do you want to go through tracks at all?
Sure. Yeah. Now, did you realize? Well, we'll start with the first one, Never Apart.
Yeah.
The vocal prelude that's in there. Did you catch? I'm sure you've seen the posts and stuff, that it's the same tune as Same Broken Bones.
Yeah. Well, it felt very familiar, and it felt, I don't know. It just, in one way, it feels like you're going to church. In another way, it's just like that harmony between the, you know, Scott and Seth is just so magical coming into this, that I don't, this is probably not a very good comparison, but like, I compare it to like how I used to zone out as a teenager listening to like the Cure's album Disintegration, where they just have these long preludes and you know, outros and everything, and it's just like it's almost like a sonic experience with that, and then it's there's a whole different sonic experience, like you've talked about with Cheap Coffee.
Absolutely. Just the first lyric, when the prelude ends and Seth starts singing, life cannot be written, it can only be lived. That's like classic Avett lyric. Like, you think of the other songs where, you know, certain lines stick out. That line is, that's deep, you know?
Yep. I like how, I like to say, like, it's simple but deep. It's like it's simple and complex at the same time when you really like spend time with it. And I think after you listen to it and sort of take it all in, there's a few songs on this record that are like that, where you like have an aha moment of like double meaning and extra meaning and all that depth to it.
And I don't have to miss you, we'll never be apart. That's, man, beautiful stuff. Never Apart.
It's haunting and hopeful at the same time, which I think the Avetts are known for sort of being that way with a lot of their music. But
haunting's a good word to describe it.
Yeah, but it's, when I say haunting and hopeful, though, it's sort of it's, I think the Avetts are at peace. You know, they're not, and I think another review said this, but I agree. It's like they're not writing songs about pretty girls anymore. Now they're talking about their life right now, and it's a different set of challenges, and it's a different set of lessons, and that's what you hear in all these songs.
And they can't believe how fast time's gone. That's another one.
And I will tell you, and you will say the same. You just had your kid's graduation recently, so like,
well, he's graduating in a couple weeks. Actually,
things change in an instant. Like, and you gotta. That's the number one thing I tell new parents and parents with young kids
every
now.
second.
Like, you gotta savor every one of those moments, because they're not only do they go fast, you can't get them back either.
You can't, and it's crazy because like it feels like yesterday that we were trying to force him to get on the bus for his first day of preschool, and he was crying hysterically and all that, and it really feels like it was just a couple of years ago, and here he's graduating high school, going off to college in a couple months, and man, it feels like it was that long.
It's bizarre.
It is. It's hard to explain. So we go from Never Apart to Love of a Girl, kind of like opposite type of songs, but do you agree Love of a Girl live was phenomenal?
It was. I think maybe we should just like mix in some of our impressions of like
the live.
If you want, let's just mix in talking about the tour dates that we've seen and
sure.
And the music videos too, because not only the music videos, but the live performances they've done on some of the TV shows, like have been different, almost like different arrangements of some of these too, which is interesting.
Yeah, "Love of a Girl" is such a great, fun song.
They did "Love of a Girl" on Fallon, and what did you watch that?
I did.
So
I watched.
What did you think?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
They kill it live. Like that song, I was seeing it in person was even better. You know, we were sitting right by where speakers were blaring on us. It was like the loudest song they played all night, and it was just so much fun. Like the whole place was up dancing, and like, man, that's such a fun song. I
loved it. I wish we could have seen that. We were in New York that night, and obviously couldn't get in, but having not planned for it. But watching that back, it was interesting to hear the piano come through a little stronger than you would hear it in a live show.
Okay.
Violin came through a little stronger, and then Seth was giving it a little bit of extra flourish, which he's known to do depending on his mood, I think. But I think, and Scott was like in this weird zone of like, you know, it's like he was I don't want to say nervous energy, but you could tell he was like pent up, and then he like rocked out, and it was cool.
Yeah, they I don't know, they seemed really relaxed to me.
Yeah.
But they were just having a blast. It was
smooth, but like again, to perform this song live seems really demanding. So it's almost like to keep that together.
I couldn't do it because I'm so bad with lyrics. I would never remember the lyrics.
Yeah,
like,
and they've got the constant interplay, like going back and forth between them, which is something they're known for in a couple of other classic songs that we all love. But here, it's like honed to an art form.
What's funny though is the first time when that song first came out and we were listening to it, I thought it was Seth singing up until the part where Scott comes in singing about the touchdown celebration and all that. Yeah. I didn't realize they flipped back and forth so much until I saw them play it live. I'm like, holy cow, look at that. They'd like switch every other line practically through that whole song.
So I had a video of them doing, we were in line because it was GA for the Albany show that we went, not Albany, the New Haven show that we went to in Connecticut. That was our first show, and they did sound check of this song and a few others, and it was just so good. It just seems like they've got it so down pat now.
Oh, they definitely do.
I mean, it's incredible.
Them live, there's nothing like seeing them live. Like my oldest daughter always says, you know, she doesn't really care for the recorded versions of these songs, but seeing them live, she was totally into it and loved it. And I think that's a funny way to look at it because I love the recordings too, but she's not as big of a fan as I am. But she absolutely would go to another show with me and see them and just loves how they perform the songs. Anyway, did you get to see Sierra Farrell at any of your shows? Did she open for? She opened in Albany, didn't she?
She opened in both of our shows, so we were blessed. We were blessed with that, and she was a treat.
Phenomenal!
Oh my gosh, phenomenal!
She is going to be such a huge star.
You know what? I think this was a flash in a pan moment, and now I'm worried. Like we're not going to see her open for the Avetts again. I don't think.
I mean, it's like it just reminds me of the whole Brandi Carlile thing. Like,
oh yeah,
she used to open for the Avetts, and now the Avetts would open for her, and it's going to be the same thing with Sierra Farrell.
Well,
she's so good.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think she deserves every bit of it. Her band is so incredible. The four guys, they were impeccably dressed for both of these shows. They had it all put together. They were not quite as wild as I feel like they were in Mexico. I feel like the band was wilder in Mexico, and Sierra was more reserved in terms of just staying on the mic stand, but and kind of the opposite for these shows that we saw this last week. But
that's interesting.
She wore a mermaid outfit one night that was just like, I don't know, like the guy beside me, Jeremy, who brought Jeremy Dexter, I don't know if you know him, and his wife Lori. They brought their 9-year-old daughter Zoe. She was right there on the rail, right in front of Scott. And then they had Jeremy's father came, and he was just like so awestruck by her. It was incredible.
She, man, she's so good. But We saw her open for the Avetts 2 years ago in Cooperstown, and it was just her and her guitar. And I'm thinking back to that, and like I got a couple videos of her playing. Like, you're just not gonna see that.
That was our only exposure to her too, and we kind of didn't know what it, I think we just kind of weren't paying attention, other than we were like, wow, she's got that voice.
What a voice. Her voice is so powerful.
Yeah.
Just mind blowing. Like, my wife's never heard her before. This was her first Avett show too. But she like loved Sierra Farrell. It was
and I love her. Great. I love her vibe and her energy. Yep. That day, we were having to walk back and forth. We were in line most of the day, and we had to walk back and forth. And we see this, what we thought was a girl on a bike with like big handlebars coming down the sidewalk with a white flowing dress and a cowboy hat. It was her. She was out, like she had broken loose. She was out on the street, and it was getting near showtime, and the parking attendant that we had just talked to said, yeah, they're waiting for Sierra Farrell to show up, and she's got to do her sound check. And then we saw her going down the street.
Oh man, that's funny.
And then so Eileen Sweeney and I talked to her for like 5 minutes, and just
we
were just like, hey, we just wanted to show our appreciation, and we told her that we appreciated seeing her before, and just excited. And I think she's such a fan of just the Avetts, because there's a video of her like dancing in the stands.
That was the show I was at.
So it's a country kid, right? And that was the show you were at, right?
Yeah. Yeah, her and Seth did a song together.
Oh, how was that? I wanted to ask.
It was amazing. I put it on YouTube. It's not a great video because we were sitting far back. We were out in the lawn.
That's still awesome. I'm jealous.
It sounds good. It was great. And we heard them sound checking, and it was windy, so I was having a hard time hearing if it was Scott or Seth that she was singing with. I thought it was Scott. So when Seth came out, I was really surprised. But man, it was a beautiful song. Anyway, I love Sierra.
I will say though, I think we're spoiled. Not only were we spoiled that we've gotten this opportunity to see her more than once, or some of us, and for opening with them, but we started listening, to her new album on repeat. She was making a point to like play her new single American Dreamin', which is great. And the album is more reserved than the live show, just like the Avetts is, right? And so I feel like I need the live fix with her now, and the recording's not good enough.
You're spot on with that. Man, she is going to blow up. That album is so good.
Yeah.
She's got Grammys.
She's selling the album. I'm surprised the album isn't showing up on the charts just like the Avetts. They were saying that you couldn't even get the alternate colors. You couldn't even get them from stores anymore. You could only get them at shows. So I guess
I've got a blue one coming. I haven't gotten the vinyl yet. It's on its way. It's in the mail, on its way to my house right now. Can't wait to get that. All right. So yeah, Sierra Farrell, she deserved a little shout out there. That was, of
course,
awesome seeing her. So good. So amazing. Live show. Keep talking about the new tour and all this stuff.
Yeah.
One big thing that we can't miss. We can't not talk about the puppets.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
The Avetts.
So you saw the Avetts at your show, right? So I guess,
and it was
you're doing good. These, that's a part of not every show, but many of the shows they planned on the tour. So I don't know if you saw the questions I had, and I asked some funny questions after that first concert, where I was like, hey, is this a real thing? Are these Henson Muppets? Is this all legit? Are they going to do it more than once? Blah, blah, blah. And my funniest comment, I thought, you tell me if I'm wrong, or if it's just a dad joke, corny thing, is I thought, is Miss Piggy the subject of Love of a Girl? I think we should settle it right now.
Well, I'm going to go with no.
Yeah. Sorry.
It could be. You never know. Could be. There's so many views of the puppets though.
Yeah.
I think, there's so many negative views of it, saying, oh, they're taken away from their show.
Oh man. I don't know.
Brothers.
Personally, I think people think I'm just pro Muppet. It's not that. After seeing it in person, you tell me after seeing it in person, like it really was like a magical thing. You could tell the joy that it brings them, and they give sort of the monologue to introduce and surprise the crowd with like the puppets coming out like middle of the show.
Yeah, and they tailored it to the city they were in. So they like
right,
told
right,
with
right.
my show, they told the story about coming to Canandaigua
And
on
that's
a trip
nice. That
last
is really
year.
nice.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like a 5-minute long story that they told while the puppeteers were setting up the puppets in the back, and
Yeah.
they were just killing time while that was getting set up. But it was great.
It was
And
funny though, because I mean, some of these intros, like Seth talks more, or some of them Bob weighs in, but like it to me, I love hearing the interludes and having them talk about the past.
whatever. Yeah.
So at my show, the first one, Seth made fun of Scott because he was talking about the story of how they used to have a super fan who would go in and pull out, the free rags, the free newspapers, the variety papers and there was a bad review of them once, and he went in and just chucked them all. And Seth told him he had to be quiet because all the young kids didn't know what a newspaper was.
Which is true.
Oh, it was fun, but the puppets are fantastic, and I
They
think
are.
what I observed too from both watching videos, hear people talk about them, then we saw them in 2 shows. I feel like the performances got better. It's like evolving. Like they're
Yeah,
getting more like the puppets from day one are trying to mimic the performance of
sure.
the brothers. There's
Right.
Scott Monster, Seth Monster, Bob Monster.
Yeah.
They're performing 2 songs, and I don't get the negativity of like why are they doing the same songs? They're doing those songs because they've rehearsed them.
They practiced it.
Like
Yeah.
it's a puppet performance. It's a legit thing. It's art. It's an art form.
Yep.
And if you dig underneath some of the now the social media posts from the puppeteers themselves,
Yeah.
they're from like literally the guy that is doing the main puppeteer for Scott's puppet is
I follow him now.
he's an actor. He's an actor on Sesame Street and has been for like 5 years. He introduced. Did you see the post where he said he introduced the first Latin American no, Italian American, sorry, Italian American character on Sesame Street 5 years ago. That's
Yes, I
it's
did see
awesome.
that.
That's
It's
awesome.
very cool,
That's
and I
really cool.
love the fact that the puppets are actually they were made by the Henson people, so they're
Yeah, yeah.
they're legit Muppets,
They
and
are. They just license-wise, I think
right,
the legality is they're not Muppets because they're not part of the Muppet program, but they are
right,
Henson puppets, yeah.
but they are Henson puppets, and
And they are legit. And
that made it legit.
what do you think about this merch, by the way? I have the
Love it.
pins here.
The pins are on their way to me. I have
I'm wearing the Scott monster because I'm preferential to Scott here, and
I have the T-shirt. I've been wearing it nonstop. I wish they'd come out with kid sizes. They probably will at some
that would
point.
be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, my youngest daughter needs a puppet shirt. She
Well, you know what? I not
absolutely
only
loves it.
that, one of the things that Scott said, he like said something like they do the 2 songs, they do Hard Worker and I Would Be Sad, and then they do that they do Ain't No Man where the puppets
Yep.
come out on stage and they're doing these zany antics and stuff. Scott at the end of one of our shows, I think it was the New Haven show, might have actually been Albany. He said, I hope you're enjoying all this. It's something I hadn't heard with some of the other concerts that we watched online, but he said there's more to come. He
Oh,
said it in a way that like it made my wife and I feel like there's more. It's not going to be the same. There's more to come. So
well, that
would
makes sense. I
that'd be
mean, you
cool.
think they'd wanna mix it up a little bit and
My
change it
whole thing
around.
is there needs to be an Avetts puppet music video. How fun would that be?
I thought for sure that they would come out on Kimmel or not Kimmel, on, Jimmy Fallon's show and be part of the song that they were playing. I thought for sure they would be on there, or at least
Okay,
do
I
like
read
they did
this.
with the Roots.
I read this and I can't remember now. I don't even know if I don't know who it was. So if you're listening, comment. But they were supposed to do it and Fallon shut it down, is my understanding.
Fallon shut it down? Oh,
That's what somebody said. I don't know why. I don't know if it's I don't know why. But at the end of the day, like I agree, it would have been fun, but I think they have more planned. And I think I just think about like you and I are of the age where like I think we grew up on there were Muppet movies. There was
definitely.
like,
I'm still a huge Muppet
the
fan. We
Muppet
love the
Show
Muppets.
itself. I was pretty young, but it was a thing. And then Fraggle Rock, like was Fraggle Rock, we were bonkers over.
Yep, that's right in my wheelhouse when I was a kid. We used to love that stuff, all the Henson stuff. We still watch like A Muppet Christmas Carol every year. That's one of my favorite
Oh,
Christmas movies.
yeah.
Just love it. So yeah, one thing too with them, if they showed up on Fallon, people that aren't fans of the band may have been like, "What is going on here?
Yeah.
Why do they have puppets
But you know what would have
performing
been
with them?"
cool is to do one of those elementary school
That's what I was
breakdowns,
saying,
like
yeah,
with
with the
the
Roots.
roots plus
Yep.
the puppets. That would have been. I mean, I'm not trying to tell them how to run the show. I'm just saying.
No, I think, someone mentioned it. I think Dolph commented on it that they were trying to set that up, and then, like you said, it got shot down.
Well,
Uh,
it takes a lot of. I feel like it takes a lot of rehearsal to get these show. Like they don't just show up on Fallon and plug in their guitar. Like it
right.
takes a lot of setup.
Yeah, it's a whole day
Um,
thing.
they were there. They were there all day. I mean, Tanya. I love how Tanya and Mike and even to some degree Joe too is like they're doing all the behind the scenes views of like where they go and when they do stuff now. And Pete,
Tanya's been doing a lot of that.
it's been I love what Tanya's doing. It's been awesome.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's fun. Um, but yeah, the puppets, for anyone that is being negative about it, I don't think they've seen them live yet, because
Yeah.
seeing them live, it was just the only way I could describe it. It was pure joy. Like you could see it on
Yeah.
their faces. The fans loved it. The kids in the crowd loved it. Anyone that grew up watching the Muppets, just it was great. It was just so much fun.
And I think those song choices are very intentional to fit with the puppets. It's not
Sure.
just the songs from their past, which they are, but
Right.
it's very cool.
And I think it's cool that that was the first time I've seen I Would Be Sad performed live. I've never got that song before at a
That's a
show.
good
I
point.
I
That
haven't
is
been
not
to
a
a lot of
song
shows.
that is not a song in heavy rotation. Even Hard
Right.
Worker to some degree is like not all the time.
And Hard Worker too. I mean, that's they
Hard Worker is a crowd pleaser. Let's everybody get up and dance and clap,
sure.
you know?
But that's not one that they play very often either. I mean,
No, it's not.
until now. Now it's gonna, with all the puppet shows, it's gonna be played a lot. But I can't wait to see what they do next. Because like you said, they're gonna mix it up at some point. And if he said that, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I did
And the
not.
Puppeteers, I mean, they commented on their social. They said, "We are on tour with the band." So they've got stuff up their sleeve.
Now, as of right now, they're not supposed to be on the West Coast, like with a lot of the shows out that way. Do you think that'll change? Like if they're planning something and they'll add them in, or
No, I mean that could be the thing they're planning is what is part 2 of all this.
right?
I can't even think about it.
Did you realize? Did you see the post that the guy that was the photographer? I can't think of his name right now. At the
Oh
CMAC
yeah,
show that I was at, he
yeah.
took phenomenal
Oh
pictures.
yeah. That was mind blowing. I mean, that was something for. I appreciate it for my very limited photography. I don't know, interest. I guess I'll call it. It's not a skill, but I really dug all of that work. I love that type of work.
Yeah, and he actually, I reached out to him, and I'm working on getting him on the show because his eye for photography is amazing. He's so amazing. But
Well, I saw
he
that
was
the
funny. He was
women.
on.
So there are a certain segment of the women in the Avett fan base that are, I think, putting together a campaign to enter Scott as into the Sexiest Man Alive episode of or magazine issue.
Yeah, and then there's the other half that wants Seth in there, but
Hard to argue.
yeah. But those pictures are amazing. But I reached out to him, like I said, he actually shared some of the pictures from the CMAX show with me and a bunch of other people. He's trying to get people to buy the
Nice.
pictures.
Okay.
But there's some shots that he got of the puppets that I'd never seen before. Like he had a shot behind the puppeteers on stage. I never realized there's 9 of them.
Yeah, it's multiple
for each
people.
puppet. 3 for
It's
each
multiple people per puppet because
Yeah.
they've got like one person doing hands,
Yep.
and they're very articulate. Like when you look at like Bob's puppet,
They really
the
are.
funniest thing too is that it's so down. They've got it so down now. I don't know if you noticed this, but like when they zoom into Bob at some point, Bob's puppet, and he like breaks the fourth wall. He like looks at the camera and takes his hand and waves, and like the whole crowd at our show like cracked up. They were loving it.
They're so good at what they do. And like you said, these guys are professionals, man. That's what they do. But I just love it being a part of their show and mixing things up, and they are having a blast with it. And I can't wait to see where it goes. All right. What else did you want to talk about? We've kind of hit on
what
little bit of
other
everything.
song you mentioned earlier, I think, how the interlude for the first single, the first track actually is familiar. So they've been playing in their set lists in the new tour. It's been almost the entire new album except for one song.
Same Broken Bone.
Same Broken Bone.
Why is that, I wonder?
We've been racking our heads about it.
Oh,
So my
let's hear
wife,
your thoughts.
I don't have coherent thoughts, but my wife, that is my wife's favorite song now. And I think I wouldn't call it polarizing, but I've seen very different opinions about
Same.
like, which songs are your favorites or not. A lot of people say they don't love that one. It's actually grown on She and I, and it's become one of our favorites. Like I would say my favorite is 2020 Regret right now.
Same as me. We have similar thoughts here.
And so I love Scott, like you said, going through, and I think, and I to go on that one for a sec. I think 2020 Regret at least has a double meaning because it's talking about him coming home and the whole band, like the world stopping in 2020.
Yeah. And there's definitely a double meaning with 2020.
And they've been, going up and down the road touring for 20 years straight. And then you just stop in your home.
Yep.
And that caused them to reflect, like anybody, like we all did, right? But
everyone
they're musical artists, so he was reflecting on the life on the road, what he, like you said before, what he missed or what he didn't want to miss. And then he's also saying it's hindsight is 2020.
Hindsight's 2020, right?
And so it actually, the way he sings the lyric, like that was an aha moment for my wife and I when we heard it. We're like, oh yeah, that's awesome.
The first time I listened to that song, I was actually listening with Michael Gans, and he immediately got that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of that at first. And now that's all I can think of with that. But I love it.
But it's such a love, it's such a love letter to his wife, his family. It's really touching, honestly, when you get down to it.
And I was bummed at my show in Canandaigua. They had been playing 8 of the 9 songs at all the other shows of the new tour that started the new tour. And the show I was at, they only played 7 of 9, and 2020 Regret was not played. So,
but you know why? I think that's because we had the same but we had the same change in Albany Bonnie had to go home.
Right. Yeah, her daughter was graduating high school.
They didn't replace her.
Right.
So that's great. Everybody was like chattering away, like, are they going to fly Paul to Figley up here and start laughing? But
that's what I was waiting
for. They just
for.
changed the playlist, and like, honestly, I was thankful for that because we were going to 2 shows, and they played some things that were different. They did cut out some of those songs, which was.
Tanya played the little organ that Bonnie played during. Which song is it now that I'm blanking on the song that organ is played in? Is it
one of the new tracks?
It's one of the new songs, yeah. Not 2020 Regret. I'm trying to find it here. I can hear it in my head. I'm not going to sing. Is it cheap? Not Cheap Coffee. This is Forever Now.
Oh yeah.
She plays that little.
And Forever Now. Let's go to Forever Now. There's a music video for Forever Now.
Yeah,
so we have music videos now for Country Kid, Forever Now, Orion's Belt. Is that all?
We have 3 videos. Yeah. There was no love. I think there'd be a Love of a Girl video, but that hasn't.
Well, happened. I think there could be, right?
Yeah.
But my point is, like, that's actually a lot of music videos to bust out in the week before you drop your vinyl or your new album, right?
Definitely.
So, and those were a lot of fun, by the way. So,
and we heard there was 2 of them. They had mentioned 2, but the third one was a surprise to me.
The Orion's Belt. Yeah.
Orion's
Belt video was really cool because somebody had commented they knew that that theater that they had I guess taken over, and I really, it's not quite the same, but it had a similar aesthetic to this photographer you're talking about in terms of it feeling like it was behind the scenes.
Definitely.
So I really enjoyed that, and honestly, I never thought I would love Orion's Belt, having heard it as just this random track before that sometimes they would play, but now that they've put it out like this,
it's one of my favorite songs on the album.
So it's just like, to me, when I first heard like Neapolitan Sky and Smithsonian and those songs when they first came out, I was like, I'm not sure, and now I absolutely love them. To hear them play them this way, and you can really get into it too. It's a nice song to get into.
Absolutely, it's I don't know if people still say it. It's a bop. I really like it.
Yeah.
but that song, I've heard them do it live on other concerts that I haven't been at, but I've heard them play it before, and I didn't love it. But I don't know, what something about it being on the album and me listening to it 5 times a day, I really love that song now.
Yeah.
It's grown on me.
Sure.
That's
So
funny.
same Broken Bones. Let's go back to that one because
Yeah.
I didn't answer your question. I
No.
don't know how to answer your question in terms of like why are they not playing it? I'm wondering if they're saving it back because it's more difficult. Is it a more difficult song to sing?
It's gonna
Perhaps
be mostly a cappella.
it is, and it's kind of, you've got the, I don't know if this is the right way to, you've got the undulating kind of, the way that it's performed. I probably am not saying that technically right, but it's a very complex song when you think about it that way.
They are probably working on it, I would guess, because that has to be a hard song to sing.
I wonder if it's more complicated for the musicians as well. Like I can't even tell all the instruments that are like backing it up.
There's not a lot in there. There's only a couple
not a lot,
parts.
but it's still, it has a different feel to it.
Sure. Oh, definitely. When they do play that live, I think it's going to be like a showstopper.
A moment, yeah.
There's a lot of people saying they don't like that song, and I think it's going to end up being one of those songs that people
I think you're
love.
right. I think you're right. And here's I agree with you 100%. And this is what my wife and I were, when we listened to this over and over, like I said, on this road trip, and we heard some of these twice for the 2 shows. We were thinking to ourselves, there's so many showstoppers now, because they had I Am Loving You, they had No Hard Feelings, they had several of like what have been their showstoppers or what have been the final show, the final song that they perform in some of their tours. And so now you've got We Are Loved, which is just boom, that is mega. You've got 2020 Regret, it's mega. You've got Forever Now, it's mega. Never Apart, like you've got all these like, and they are so on. Like I was blown away by their performances. They're so strong, and I didn't know how they would do. This is the other thing we commented on. I don't know how they actually sound better than the recording. It was so on. It was so like piercing to hear it live.
Spot on. They really are amazing. And one thing too with the live show, the new background with the screen behind them, with the videos playing, like I'm trying to think. Cheap Coffee had cool videos going on, showing a lot of old pictures and stuff. What was the other one that was fun?
Well, they played Satan at our show, and they brought back, it's like a 3D blinking, like a 3D house that's like,
I saw that too.
It's almost like a haunted mansion.
Yep.
And so one of my questions, if I ever talk to the guys again, I want to know, like, is that just a cool effect that Pete dreamt up, or is that like
there's some deeper meaning?
Is there a haunted house reference that we don't know about from Concord?
That's cool. That's note that down for when I have like Scott or Seth.
Yes,
definitely. Someday.
I have a list of those questions that I keep handy that I'll never ask, I guess. Yeah.
You can feel free to send them to me if I ever line that one up.
But yes, I love seeing the intermix of some of the old images. Some of them are familiar, but it's just like, it's great to see.
There's a lot of, I wish I could remember which song it was. Was it Country Kid? It might have been Country Kid, where there was a lot of like clips from old Cracker Farm videos that were popping up on
and some of their previous music videos. Like they had there were clips from there were clips from Ain't No Man, because I like how they've invited. Did you know they've invited fans to be extras in some of those? So like we are seeing like in the Ain't No Man video that's in the airport and on the airplane, like there are essentially cameos of people, and every time we see them, we're like, yay,
people that you know.
Oh yeah, Christy. Cool. So give a shout out to Christy of Charlotte if you follow her on Instagram. She is she is actually a flight attendant for American out of Charlotte, and she was on the plane as an extra.
No kidding.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And she has a cool part because they're all singing, and it's really cool.
That's cool. I wonder, is that just random? Like you happen to be there and they get to be in the video?
She has a story of how she found out about it. But one of our other friends, and this is another shout out about the merch. here's the T-shirt that has the roller skate from the video. I think that's a shout out to the Country Kid music video. But we have a friend that was in that music video as well, and she's a roller derby girl, and so she got to roll around the rink and be one of those extras. So that's pretty cool.
I don't know who you're talking about personally, but I saw the posts and stuff saying she wanted to get one of those T-shirts.
That would be a dream, right?
Yeah,
that is her T-shirt.
That's for her. Oh, cool.
Yes. So it's getting in the mail soon, I promise.
Yeah, well, you just got home. You just got back last night, right?
Yeah. What other? So I think we've gone through almost all the songs except for "We Are Loved," which is the final track.
That's a good way to end this too. We're running low on time here too. So, "We Are Loved" it's spiritual. Is that a good way to describe it? It sounds like a hymn to me.
I think so. Get out your lyric book, because there's something I want to call out, that something that was really impactful. Speaking of hearing these live, that it didn't really hit us when we were listening to the recording, or we went to the album. We went to the record release party in Raleigh, but there's the lyric of like, you feel alone, but you're not.
But you never been.
I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah, where is it? I know exactly what you're talking about too. I have felt alone, but I have never
felt alone, but I am. And what did it say it again?
Never been.
I've never been. When you hear them sing that, it's kind of like, it's these verses that they're not rhyming, but they're like, they hit you.
Yeah.
And you're like, we were just like, wow. When we heard that, we were in Seth and Scott both singing that and delivering that song. That, to me, like you were saying before, that is a showstopper.
I know they're playing it in the encore right now, but they're still throwing No Hard Feelings in at the end. I know they haven't every single time, but "We Are Loved" that's going to be the last song that they play. I think eventually here.
I think it definitely can earn its right to be, for sure.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful song, but
and that's what I'm saying. They have more than one showstopper, and some of these songs. I know we don't have time to go deep on this, but some of the songs sound similar rhythmically to prior songs from other albums, but in a good way. I don't know how else to say it.
And I wonder if they're tied together somehow. I saw someone trying to piece together songs from different albums, saying they had similar themes.
Yeah,
and I wonder if there is a deeper thing going on than we know of.
Listen to it again, and then see which. This is the challenge for you or anybody else listening, is that if you there's the New Woman's World song from previous album, but there is a song that almost sounds like, to me, the same rhythm and melody, like the sound of it, not the lyrics or the meaning, but it sounds rhythmically, and the melody and everything sounds very similar, but in a very soothing, pleasing way. It's like it's almost like they've reinvented that song, and not that that song's bad. I'm just saying, like, it sounds really, really cool how they wove it together.
Is this their best album?
Wow. Okay. Wow. Look at the time, folks. We're out.
Yeah. I know it's an opinion-based question.
I don't know.
It's subjective, and I'm scared to give my opinions anywhere anymore, because I got blasted. I got blasted on Facebook for.
Oh, I know. But look, everybody. By the way, every time an album comes out, it's a pattern now of like, there's the people that are like, oh, it's different. We don't want different, and then there's the people that, oh, it's the same. We don't like the same.
Right.
And then I'm just like, it's new. That's a blessing.
Right. For the record, I was not saying that I'm a better fan than anyone.
No, dude, nobody that has any sense is going to take it that way.
Right. I know, but that really bothered me that people thought that, and that was nowhere.
Look, I'm very sarcastic, and I can come off as really cold with my humor to people, and people think maybe I've got my nose up sometimes, but I'm just an insecure nerd. Like, it's whatever. Is it the best album? See, emotionalism, it's kind of like, they always say the music you grow up on is what sticks with you. Emotionalism was my first album and where I discovered the band, and it's hard to top. But I think it's okay. I'm not trying to top it. This is just different.
No one can hold that against you or say anything.
I don't want to
That's your feeling.
That album. It's different, and it's a different time. It's a different meaning, and I think that's what you got to embrace here. Is like Scott and Seth are at a different time in their life, and they're doing different in their different phases of their artistry too. By the way, right? They don't play the same crap over and over. Right. There's some that are favorites, of course, and how cool is it that they can play a song from 20 years ago and still love it, and everybody loves it? That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
And the new stuff,
artists can actually do that.
Here's the thing. Also, I'm really happy that they're playing the whole album almost, or several tracks from the album, and they're going to mix it up instead of just pick one or two and like almost like tell you those are the favorites and the rest are by the wayside.
Right.
Because all of these tracks, every single song on this album deserves its time in the sun because they're all excellent. So is it the best album? I don't know how to answer that, but every song on this album is excellent, period.
That's fair. And Same Broken Bones is going to have its moment in the sun at some
point. And I'm
going
to cry if I'm not at the show where that gets played, but I don't know. Like
I wanted to cry when they didn't play 2020 Regret, though. I was so sad, but at the same time, it was such a fun show.
Well, here's the thing. Like, we didn't talk about this in depth, but the live, we did talk about Fallon, and that was a fun performance. That's the CBS morning show performances where they did 3 different tracks. Those were really, really great. Like, I love seeing new people discover the band, and I introduced people on this road trip with my wife this past week. I introduced our hosts in Canada to the band.
And how'd that go?
And my parents were discovering the album for the first time just by listening to it in our car because they just they are fans and they've been to Avett shows before, but they're not like they're not in the cult, so they enjoyed the album quite a bit.
Good. All right. That's great. I think we touched on everything.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. I'm going to play a few songs if I have time left. I'm going to play a few songs off the album on the episode. I'm leading off the show with Cody Gentry, one of his songs, because his album is out when this is airing. It's out today, so you can go get his new album.
Can I do a special reveal for like 10 seconds?
Yeah, wait. We have what do you got there?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. This is goofy. I have a pair of Adidas Sam Smith all white. They've been repurposed though with a nice sticker from one of the Avett fans, so that they are limited edition, one of one Avett Brothers Adidas shoes. This is my men's pair. I've only worn them one time. It was the show in Albany this past week.
Worn by the Ryan Boyles.
Just one by me. But guess what? I know that I don't want it to just be a men's thing. So I actually discovered that in my closet I have a pair of women's, and I'm going to give them away to somebody. So stay tuned, everybody. Todd and I are going to give away a pair of these, so you can get limited edition, one of a kind.
So we can't get
brand spanking new, and the women's are cool because they have instead of this navy blue Adidas tab on the back, they're gold.
Ooh, now those shoes are kind of like unisex, right?
They are. No, they are, but I think they still, and they have like this cool hexagon pattern on the bottom, so
nice.
They're very much in fitting with like the design of the new album.
And they're comfortable, right? And
really stretch. Oh my gosh. So that was the story as I was trying to find shoes that were comfortable for shows, for waiting in line, all that stuff. These were like baby clouds. They were all
baby clouds. I like it. So we're going to give away a pair.
We're going to give away the women's pair. I'm going to keep the men's because I got to protect my feet, but I'm going to give away the women's. And so stay tuned to the socials, and Todd and I will let you know how to enter.
That's cool. I appreciate that. I like that.
Yeah, no problem.
We just gave away one of the listening day posters, listening party posters. Tara Parsons was the winner of that. I'm going to mail that out to her this weekend, and I think she was pretty stoked to win that. So thanks for everyone that entered. That was cool to see all the people get in that and say, give me that poster.
Well, and how cool was it that all those listening parties really brought everybody together? I thought it was really cool to see everybody share their experience, and then to see the album. This should be our closing note. The album topped out at number 2.
Yeah.
Album sales.
right behind Billie Eilish, which that
In
album
front of Taylor Swift too. I
in
don't want
front,
nobody shoot arrows at me, but hey.
2 spots in front of Taylor Swift. And
Yeah,
I
there
gotta
we go.
give a shout out to Dolph again for thank him for letting me do one of those listening parties. That was so much fun. So
Yeah.
cool to do that. I know you were able to do Tim's and mine that night.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was so cool to do that and see people's reaction to hearing songs for the first time. Really, that was special. And I'll never forget that. That was a blast. So
I
thank you,
want to
Dolph.
do more of those. So that's an awesome idea.
Yep. Yep. All right. Ryan,
All
thank
right.
you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
We've gone over time, but it's all
Okay.
good.
All
So
right. You
we'll
can
just
trim
have
out the fat and we'll get you
I'm
going.
not trimming out anything. This was all gold. And we're giving away sneakers. So
There you go.
can't beat that. All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll see you down the road.
All right. Thank you.